out that I started to do the other day and got sidetracked. I have a super fan who watches every video, every live from the bushes usually, and their adult child reached out to me asking if I could give mom a shout out. Mrs. Margie, this is to you. Thank you so much for all of your support. You are so appreciated. We are Sebastian's army. And thank you so much, Mrs. Margie, for being with me on this journey. Blessings to you, and I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. And thank you to your amazing child who would reach out and know that this would mean the world to you. Thank you all for your communications and for everything. The garage. Have you ever wondered, when you stop and think, when you start writing down those interview notes and going through them, which is what I was doing when I was down, it starts to take on a different look. It starts to take on a different look because that's when you realize something's missing. Something's missing in the dialogue is what I realized. Excuse me, I got to take a drink of my water. And we have a goal tonight. If you all want to continue on, I think it's time, in my opinion, to get the U.S. Marshals in. I've done a little research on what they do, how you get them in, what are the reasons you would bring them in, and who can bring them in. So that will be our bonus time today. If you all want to do that, I think it's time. We need movement. I think there's a lot of silence. We need words. We need action. We need knowledge, in my opinion. I'm not saying no one is not doing their job properly. I'm saying we need more. Because in my opinion, when we're 14 months down the road, ask whoever you can to come help, whoever's willing. So that'll be our bonus time. And I want to thank you, NJs, for already growing the family. One Crime Time Buzz membership. We really need to get into, we missed our members live and I was going to do an extra one. So buckle up and keep your eyes open. They're coming. I want to meet with my members a couple of times this week again. NJs, so appreciated. So appreciated for you modding and everything you do and your generosity to the channel. And thank NJs, please, if you've received that membership, or if you've gotten it, please thank her if you've gotten it. I'm sorry, I'm stumbling. And welcome our new member to the family. Welcome in. And welcome, little Miss Sharon is now a member. Welcome into both of you. Whispering Winds, Donna, in my opinion. Hi, beautiful J Mods chat. Good to see you. Thumbs up. Thumbs up, everyone, if you would. Thank you so much, Donna, for your sweet donation. Appreciate you. Roxy R., so glad you're feeling better. Thank you. I really appreciate you all. It's good to feel better. It really is. It's good to feel better. And we're going to, that time I spent in there, like I said, I started thinking and going through interviews. And I know we've heard a lot about the garage. And one thing we've heard about Sebastian sleeping in the garage, allegedly. By the way, this is for entertainment purposes only. We are discussing the Sebastian Rogers case. Sebastian went missing. He was last seen February 25th of 2024, reported missing February 26th of 2024 at the age of 15. He is now 16, from Hendersonville, Tennessee. At the time, Sebastian was 5'5", blondish brown hair, wore glasses. He could be in contacts now, or different style glasses. His hair he could have shaved hair, longer hair, different haircut, different color hair. We do not know. There have been no sightings, no scents, no eyewitnesses, and we need to bring him home. So when the narrative comes of when Sebastian first went missing, there's some things that are excluded, and that's the garage. And I want to talk about that because we've heard about Sebastian sleeping in the garage. By the way, for those of you new to the case, welcome in. And I'll kind of update you as I go about the case basics. Sebastian lived on Stafford Court in Hendersonville with his mother, who we refer to as KP, and his stepfather, who we refer to here as CP or Babyfoot. Now, they lived in a home in Hendersonville, and it has been said the parents don't do many interviews with local news, but stepfather does go on the panels a lot. And in the beginning, mother KP went on the panels on YouTube a little bit too. It was said that Sebastian had a continence problem. That was verified, incontinence at their home, that he lived in pull-ups at their home, that the stepfather would get upset with Seth, who, by the way, if you're new to the case, is Sebastian's father. When Sebastian would come home to Stafford Court with underwear on, so upset that he boxed up all of Sebastian's underwear and gave it to Seth to take to his apartment. Sebastian solely wore pull-ups at the home on Stafford Court. He didn't have the accidents at his dad's house. He wore underwear. I'm bringing this up because he also had problems with wetting the bed, and we know this because we've heard that the stepfather complained that allegedly the house smelled like pee. Not said as nice. Thank you, Michelle, for letting me know the audio's good. Yes, I bought a different laptop. Third one. But I'm happy. So it makes me think. We heard that he would sleep in the garage. Now, my assumption is that if your mattress smells like pee and you are allegedly sleeping in the garage because of that, your mattress would go with you to the garage so the whole house wouldn't smell like pee. Right? You wouldn't leave the mattress in the house smelling like pee and make a kid sleep in the garage on a new mattress, or God forbid, a blanket. I don't know. Okay? That's one thing that I think about, right? That mattress in the garage. So the incontinence and the mattress smelling, was it moved to the garage? Well, my thoughts would be most likely, because if you don't like the smell in the house, you're going to move the mattress to the garage, in my opinion. And so then my question is, do you carry the mattress to and from the house each time Sebastian allegedly goes to sleep in the garage for smelling up the house? Or is there a garage mattress and a bedroom mattress? But how do you have a bedroom mattress if it smells like you know what? So what was it, carried back and forth? Or was it left in the garage? What did Sebastian sleep on in the garage? What did he sleep on in the house? My guess is, logically, in my opinion, his mattress would be in the garage for him to sleep on and not have the odor in the home. Then I ask you, what did he sleep on in the house? That's a concerning question to me, because that leads to some visuals I don't want to have. Or did they just let him sleep in Faith's room, which I highly doubt that based on personalities of observance, but we could be wrong. Was he put on the couch? Did he sleep in the garage allegedly more than we thought? I don't know. But the garage is important. And I do believe, in my opinion, he slept out there. And the reason I say so is Jen Coffindaffer speaks of him sleeping out there and the mattress being out there and stuff. That new mattress, we'll talk about it. Okay? And she's pretty good at verifying and digging. She's a former FBI agent. If you're not familiar with Jen Coffindaffer, she has her own channel, Break the Case. Great information to our community, and confirms and gets information that we wouldn't normally get. And she's spoken of Sebastian sleeping in the garage, so I do believe that. So then my other question is about the garage, and I'm leading to something. Okay, it's not in the narrative. Is that a trigger point? Is there avoidance there? Is it a trigger point because of something might have occurred in the garage and you don't want to, it doesn't want to be mentioned? Is it a avoidance because possibly the child was sleeping in there that night? Allegedly? Are we omitting it, the whole garage, from the morning narrative for some reason? Because we've included looking in closets, other side of the bed, all closets in the house, everywhere. I'm going through the narrative. In and around the house, the bathroom, the kitchen. She went through the house. All of that said, okay, everywhere, but never mentions the garage. Now, we say house and garage. Like if I'm in my house, I say I'm in my house. If I'm in the garage, I'll say I'm in the garage, right? But the garage isn't included. In and through the house, everywhere. The kitchen, the bathroom now, the other side of the bed, all the normal places, in and around the house. But the garage isn't mentioned. Why wasn't that included in what you would search that morning? Why wouldn't you run out to the garage, allegedly? Make sure he's not out there. But even worse, I got one more for you. All the narratives go from house, or the narratives that give any detail go from searching in that house to jumping in the car. And I want to pause there. See how the garage is being skipped, searching in the house, everywhere around the house, and jumping in the car. No garage. No stopping to search the garage. No garage. Okay, there's absolutely no garage being mentioned there. But yet you're jumping in a car and your child is missing. Before you jumped in that car, did you search under it? Was it searched under? How about in? Back seat, way back, down on the floor behind the driver's seat and passenger seat? None of that mentioned. So it just went from the house to the car, jumped in the car, even though it's a possibility your missing child could be hiding under a vehicle. The vehicle. Now, I know they say, well, he's never done that before. Well, he's never wandered before, and you're searching for him. So you would search everywhere, even the not normal places, in my opinion. But you don't go from a house to jumping in a vehicle, right? Without saying, and I searched under that car, and I looked in the way back and looked in the back seat, checked everywhere, jumped in that car, and left. Never mentioned. We go from the house to in the car. I believe the garage is being avoided and admitted, possibly because it's a trigger, because something happened in there. I don't know. But even to say, when you're giving all this stuff about what you searched on, you don't even say you searched in your car. And Nancy Grace hits on it a few times. When you go, we're going to go over that. She actually talks about the garage a few times in the car. And I think she was giving her an opportunity to say, well, I searched it or something. We'll talk about it in full. Another thing. So the garage is not mentioned in KP's morning search. House to car. Looking in and under the car isn't mentioned before you would move that car. How would you move it with confidence if you don't know where your child is, knowing he's not underneath there? The garage has two doors. The man door, and the man door that has a code on it, and the electric door. Okay, the man door and the electric door, meaning that door that we see in the house next to the garage door is the man door, has a code. The garage door is electric and goes up and down and uses, as KP says, a clicker. Okay. Now, what I find interesting about this is In WebSleuths interview, the man door to the garage was not mentioned. Another avoidance. They're talking doors. They were talking the doors in the home, and the man door was not mentioned. Actually, I believe CP said there were 2 doors to get out, not including the man door, because one with a code, he said. Well, the man door to the garage has a code, as does the front door. So we're gonna listen to that tonight. Why not say there's 3 doors if there's 3? Why say there's 2 and leave out the man door to the garage that Sebastian knows the key to? Deflection, avoidance, omittance. There's a reason, in my opinion. There is a reason. You know you've got more than 2 doors if you're living in that house. Why are you omitting one? Why that one? Remember that one that he can't go out of because if he opened it, everyone would have heard, and then cuts himself off? Why don't we want to entertain that Sebastian went out that man door? Is it perhaps because you're stating lights were on at all times above the garage? So if that's the case, him exiting that door would have been caught on camera? Could that be it? I don't know. I know when the front door was, it had to be that front door, remember? And then eventually down the road, we got to, well, if anyone had locked that front door, it would have illuminated and the neighbor's Ring camera would have picked it up. Remember the disdain when he said it? Ring camera would have gotten it. And I think that was an oversight. So no one could have locked the front door because it would have illuminated. So in my opinion, if someone went in or out that front door, it was relocked from the inside because all doors were locked in the morning. The garage door was locked. So I don't know. We haven't heard if that pad illuminates. Usually they do for nighttime, but that would have been seen also. But could it be because those lights were being said they were on all the time? So if someone walked right out of there, they would have been visible. Is that why we don't want to talk about the garage man door? I don't know. It all is very suspicious. Remember, everyone would have heard it, so it had to be the front door. But in WebSleuths, why only mention there's 2 doors and one has a code? That's not accurate details. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. Welcome in, everyone. Thank you for being here. Very strange when things are omitted. So I'm going to take you here real quick. I want to show you something. Omission. Okay, red flags. Did they call 911? According to KP's narrative, 911 was called without searching the garage. That's odd, right? The house to the car. KP went from the house to the car, never mentioning the garage. Is it a trigger point? Is there something to hide? Jumped in the car. Got right in that car. No mention of looking under it or in it. When you omit things, to evaluate omissions, an investigator must appreciate that every subject makes conscious, and we have all the videos lined up for what I have the video lined up for Nancy Grace, WebSleuths, WSMV4, just the little blips where they're talking about the morning search. So we can go through what's said and what is not said. To evaluate omissions, an investigator must appreciate that every subject makes conscious or pre-conscious decisions concerning the best possible, that's in quotes, response to an interview question. If the subject is telling the truth, the best possible response will include accurate information he believes the investigator needs to know to help establish the subject's truthfulness. Accurate information. Guideline number 1 for an investigator. It is suggestive of deception when a suspect omits including important details within a response, being vague or not talking about something at all. So it makes me look at the garage now. Does it make you look at the garage now? Even if we hadn't have heard all that other stuff about the garage. And by the way, I forgot to mention, let's not forget, he was given a mattress since Sebastian went missing that is in the garage. Okay. When a suspect's including important, it is suggestive of deception when a suspect omits including important details within a response. A suspect who offers inappropriate claims of ignorance concerning a crime or allegation is often deceptive. So, for instance, if you hear, I don't know, things like that. I wasn't around, just those kind of things, but leaving things out. Inappropriate claims of not knowing when you know, not remembering things. Based upon thousands of interviews, we have found that truthful subjects tend to include certain kinds of information within a response that is often excluded from a deceptive subject's response. Because remember, it's suggestive of deception when they omit important details. And we've gotten a lot of vagueness in this narrative. Vagueness in critical, crucial places, in my opinion. Okay, or claims of not knowing certain things. And we'll get to that too. One category of this information relates to emotions. If a truthful subject was frightened, upset, angry, or frustrated, he or she will be open with this information during an interview because emotional states become intermingled with behaviors when recalling a factual occurrence. Now, KP has done that. She said, it's terror. I was in a panic. It started to hit me. On the other hand, a deceptive subject's response often focuses entirely on behaviors. Listen to this part. First, this happened, then that, then I did this. And that, my friends, is an example of this narrative. And it even goes back to the morning before. We woke up, we had spaghetti pancakes, we called the family, he likes to brag, it's step by step. And this is to fabricate emotions within the account, becomes an unnecessary lie. So these are often inappropriately omitted. Let's read that again. On the other hand, a deceptive subject's response often focuses entirely on behaviors. First this happened, then that, then this. To fabricate emotions within the account becomes an unnecessary lie. So these are often inappropriately omitted. Emotions are inappropriately omitted. Now, we've seen in this case, in my opinion, lack of emotion, in my opinion, from stepmom or stepdad and mom. Overwhelming emotion from the father. Second, a truthful subject will include specific details within their response because they believe the information will be helpful in solving the crime. So details meaning instead of saying on or about, sure, pretty much, ballpark, we heard a noise sometime after we got on the 3-hour call and before we got off. That kind of stuff is not specific details. A truthful subject will include specific details I'm giving you my opinion on that other stuff, will include specific details within their response because they believe the information will be helpful in solving the crime. Deceptive subjects omit specific information, times, dates, locations, and descriptions. In the first several of KP's interviews, she doesn't mention times. The journalist reporter has to offer the times and get agreement. Okay. We know there have been vague descriptions. My goodness. I mean, come on. A year later, we finally got a good description of how, from the mom correcting his capabilities, his high functioning capabilities, that you would not look at him and see a special needs person. All of that, all those details that we never got, that were never corrected, are now there. Okay. But it was a year to fix those. The description of what he was wearing, things like that, because it requires more lies to remember. And that's why they leave out the details, the specific information. If this information is elicited during follow-up questions, often deceptive subjects remain vague. Think about the Nancy Grace. We're going to watch a little bit of that. The vague responses: no, yes, yes, ma'am, no. As to specific details, gosh, I could have arrived home anytime between 5:30 and 7, just like the trash, right? Just like the trash. It's 8 o'clock. It's 15 minutes after they got home. 2 hours between trash and bedtime. It's sliding. I can't remember. Okay, well, I don't want to read that sentence, but I can't remember. That's another thing. After all this time of narrating what happened, the last timestamps you saw or were with your child, one would think those, you're telling it over and over in interviews, law enforcement, you would remember those times because they are not supposed to change. But what about the garage? You've searched everywhere in and around the house. And I know underneath the house with a neighbor, they took a flashlight and searched with her. One lady did. So under, on, around the house, but not in the car or the garage. Interesting. Nancy Grace really hits on that. Finally, when appropriate, truthful subjects may include a spontaneous, unsolicited denial or statement of verification. To the deceptive suspect, unsolicited denials are an unnecessary lie, and consequently, they will omit them from the response. Unsolicited statements such as, I sure didn't steal any money to cause that shortage. How about unsolicited? Peter Hyatt talks to us about that, such as like the Brinks fan. And it hasn't moved. Well, no one asked. We're not allowed to disclose that information. Did you ever ask? No. Just a couple of examples. Okay. And then we have avoidance. When a suspect avoids certain topics during questioning, it's an indicator of several factors, including a desire to protect themselves, a lack of understanding of the situation, which isn't, or even a conscious effort to mislead investigators. This behavior can be a sign of guilt, but it's important for law enforcement to consider other possibilities and use appropriate techniques to gather information. So we are going to go ahead and so avoiding, sign of guilt. Avoiding topics. I bring that up because the garage is avoided in the morning narrative. We don't search the garage. The car isn't searched in or under. Okay, so we're going to go back and we are going to begin with the WSMV Ford Nashville interview. How is everyone? Good to see you. Welcome in if you're just coming in now. Welcome, welcome in. Hi, Crochet. Hello, Marie. Hello, Dixie. Sharon. Debbie says, Annette Sheehan. Debbie says, what? Teresa, Green Girl, RKB. Hi, Gypsy. Hello, we are now going to be starting with the first interview. Thank you, Jules, to Callie. Great point. I appreciate it. It's really interesting when you isolate a topic and go through the interviews. Very interesting what dawns on you, what you notice, what you realize isn't there. It's very interesting. Thank you, Gypsy. Call the Marshals. Yes, we will. Let's hope. Well, I won't be calling the Marshals, but I'm going to tell you who can, how it can be done. And it's not just Sumner County, but it's not you guys either, and it's not me. So we're going to get into it, but they can help. And when we're this far down the road, justice needing to happen and location needing to be happening, why would you not want everyone who could help, especially this training? And we will follow up to that. if you all want to stay for the bonus time, thank you all. And Gypsy, thank you for that sweet donation. Hey, Christina, thank you for your support for 6 months. Bonus room is where my mind always goes. Yeah, that's interesting too. The bonus room is also avoided. Good point. And it's above the garage. That's the only thing we've heard about the bonus room, above the garage. Thank you for your support, Christina. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Shining Star. I appreciate you. Good to see you. Shining Star is a new member. Thank you, Kathy Smith. Welcome, Shining Star and Kathy Smith in. Thank you. Welcome in. We meet Saturdays, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, but look for it because I didn't get to do the extra ones I wanted to do because I want to talk to you all about some very specific stuff. So be looking for a couple this week too. Today's already Wednesday, so probably Thursday. We'll do one Thursday or Friday before Saturday. So without further ado, we are going to begin with WSMV 4, specifically wanting to watch that for the search in that morning and in the garage. The garage is never mentioned, nor is getting in the car to search.
That door. And this street will be.
How would you describe the situation right now?
New. Any new ink catching on to now in everything. This first interview is
Emotions all in one, and a constant roller coaster ride of helpless and hope.
weird body language that you are catching on to now. In order to really understand this case in its entirety, you kind of have to go back to the
Matt
beginning every
Thibodeau,
now and then
TikTok.
and relook at
Matt
everything.
Thibodeau,
This first
TikTok.
interview is from March 4th, 2024. Take a listen.
How would you describe the situation right now? How are you coping?
We're on a constant roller coaster ride of helpless and hopeless, and many other emotions all in one, and it's a never-ending roller coaster. It doesn't stop. It won't stop until he walks through the door.
I wouldn't wish this on anyone. Not anyone.
I know we're about keeping hope alive. I'm sure that's in there somewhere.
Oh yeah,
He's gonna
always.
come home.
He's gonna walk through that door, and this street will be flooded again with family and relatives all waiting to hug and love him. And
That boy's gonna have more friends than he knows what to do with when he comes home.
So here we are, 8 days now searching for him. Walk us through that Sunday night that he went missing. So walk us through, we've got so many people who really want to know, okay, how did this happen? So kind of just walk us through that night.
We were out and about that day. We were having a really good weekend. We got home. Everything was pretty normal. He was playing in his room. When I told him to go to bed, he did. He said, "Good night, Mom. I love you." Say goodnight to his puppies. A little bit later, I wound up going to bed, and when I woke him up for school, he wasn't there.
So in your mind, that's usually around what time? When do you normally wake up? Around 6 o'clock?
6.
So were you instantly thinking something's wrong, or were you like, he may just be already in the shower?
I took a
in the living
second.
room?
I took a second and walked through the house looking for him in case he'd gotten up and was trying to get breakfast or something, because he did that sometimes. About 3 minutes in, give or take, I was on the phone with my husband and I said, I can't find him. He said, what do you mean you can't find him? I said, he's not in the house.
And so at that point, is that when you call 911 or what's going through your mind?
While we were on the phone, and I was like, is he on the other side of the bed? The normal places he may be.
Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. I wanted to just touch base about that for a second, but I'm looking for my notes because she looked. Now, no mention of the garage is what I want to point out to you so far, but I want to point out what we have mentioned is the going straight to the garage, looking through the house, right? But nothing about the garage. She says that she wakes up normally at 6. She ran all over the house. So something was wrong. She took a second and walked through the house, went to the kitchen. Maybe he got breakfast. Within 3 minutes, give or take, was on the phone with CP. Then continues, I ran all over the house, outside, inside, and I looked in every closet. He's not in the house. Then CP said they talked about all the normal places, the other side of the bed, etc., about where he could be. No mention checking the garage. Let's continue.
In the house, and he wasn't. So I was like, okay, well, hold on a minute. And immediately after that, we called the sheriff's department and made the report.
I ran all over the house, outside, inside. I looked in every closet.
Within minutes, they were here. They responded within minutes, and here we go.
So you said you were on the phone with her, so
Yes,
you were not home.
No, ma'am.
So here we go. Interesting phrasing, right? Okay. So none of that was mentioned. In and around, through the house. Wait, let me give it the quotes. I'm sorry. I want to say it again. She knew something was wrong because he wasn't in his room. She took a second and walked through the house, went to the kitchen to see if he was getting breakfast, because sometimes he does that. 3 minutes in, give or take, was on the phone with CP. She ran all over the house, outside, inside, and she looked in every closet. He's not in the house. CP said they talked about all the normal places, the other side of the bed, all the places where he could be. So we've looked in and around the house, all through the house, all the places he could be, but we don't check the car in the garage, or we omit that from the narrative and we avoid that topic. Because if we bring up, I search the garage, what will happen? People ask questions, right? They start on that topic. So leave it alone, like we just read. Stay away from it. Distance yourself. Okay. Let me show you on our slideshow here what my thoughts on this interview. Okay. She took a second and walked through the house. First of all, the red flag on here is the garage was not ever mentioned. So we have omission or a reason to know not to search the garage and forgot to add it to the narrative, or a reason the garage is triggering and don't want to discuss it. Nor was mentioned getting in the car to search. Never mentioned jumping in the car to search there or looking under or in the car. She took a second and walked through the house, Oh, and by the way, this is their first. I apologize. I didn't put the timestamp. This was from March 4th, 2024, WSMV Nashville. And I got it from @Matt Thibodeau on TikTok. Check the kitchen. He could be getting breakfast. He does that sometimes. 3 minutes, give or take, on the phone with CP. Ran all over the house, outside and in, but doesn't say even the garage. I checked. Looked in every closet. Now that you mention it, we don't hear about the bonus room either. Talked about where he could be, the normal places. Well, I would check a car, but definitely the garage seems like that's a location Sebastian is at times, allegedly, right? You'd check it. The others, maybe could it be that's where he was sleeping, allegedly? Because until the interviews that I watched before, many of them is I went in to wake him up, but we don't have to his bedroom. Now, I just watched one, it might be Dateline, where it went into the bedroom that was added. So for a while, people were wondering, well, where was he sleeping? Possibly, allegedly, just theorizing, right? The other side of the bed was discussed. He's not in the house. How do you know he's not there if you haven't checked the garage and the car? I find it odd that it's omitted. It's an avoidance technique. Wait, not next. Next, we're going to go to, oh, did I not do Nancy Grace? Oh, shoot. Oh, I did. Okay. Next, we're going to go to Nancy Grace. The reason we're going to Nancy Grace next is Nancy really hits on the garage. Not only bringing it up a couple of times, but asking her twice if she was parked in the garage that night, and asking her twice, at least more than once, twice, it could be 3 times, if her vehicle was in the same spot, and pointing out, so you searched, got in your vehicle, and drove away. So even giving the opportunity to say, well, I searched the vehicle in the garage. That would be my alert. And that's even said a couple of times, like giving that kind of psychological prompting. So very interesting interview when you look at it from the point of, why is she asking these questions? Nancy even asked, does Sebastian drive? That makes me think, you all, that car was moved. I really think that, in my opinion, somehow, some way that car moved. I don't know what, I don't know how. Why would she ask if Sebastian drove? Was she getting her to say, no, ma'am, but trying to lead her maybe to say, instead of the fact that the car was moved, maybe, again, leading towards the search, no, but I went and searched the car anyway. You know, I keep the keys in my house and the car locked. Some sort of detail. We don't have those details, right? We do know she pulled up from the Texas Roadhouse and put the door directly down, with immediately following. And I have talked to local source. That's not the norm. It doesn't go down as they're, right as they pull in. Sometimes Sebastian will run out and grab the mail. And oftentimes she's parked in the garage, by the way, or the driveway. I have several pictures of her parked in the driveway since the disappearance. So very interesting. The garage. Let's go ahead and credit to Nancy Grace. Let me put that banner up here. Nancy hits. I started thinking about it because Nancy doesn't ask questions. She's a former prosecutor. She doesn't ask questions without really knowing either what the answer is, right? Or leading somewhere with her questions. They're well planned. Let's put it that way. Okay. well planned out. Full credit to Nancy Grace. Oh, did I not? I thought I had it pulled up. Hold on. I thought I had it pulled up, even the timestamp. Hold on 1 second. I'll get it. And then I'll come in and say thank yous before we get started. There we go. So I start. Sorry. I shared the wrong screen and closed out my WebSleuths. Okay, there we go. Okay, let me check my timestamp real quick where I need to be for Nancy. Okay, 8 minutes. Okie dokes. Full credit, Nancy Grace. Let me say my thank yous. Well, you all are really working towards the goal. You want to talk the Marshals, don't you? Thank you, Shining Star. How sweet of you. And again, thank you for your kind donations. And Miss Jen in Georgia, you're all amazing. Love my Crime Time Buzz family. I love you back. We love you back. All colors reach towards the goal. All colors reach towards our goal. Is this the light blue towards the goal? It's light blue and up, it said. So I think light blue is the whatever you can do. So I think light blue is your lowest one. I wanted to include them all. So thank you all very, very much. 1, 2, 3. I have to count them because, we're doing well. We are about halfway there, a little more than half already. Thank you. Okay, so we are going to listen to, it's going to be about 9 minutes of this, but I'm going to stop it in chunks and discuss what she brings up that's relevant in my eyes. Thank you, Caroline Miller. Good to see you. Hi, Robin. Now, if you all have an opinion about the garage or something dawns on you, please put BUZZ in all caps and bring it to my attention. I'm going to need to get water once I start this. Okay. Without further ado, pay attention to her line of questioning, because I'm going to tie it into my thoughts too.
I've offered and volunteered on many occasions to take a polygraph, and I was told directly by law enforcement, because of my whereabouts, I did not need one.
I understand. Ms. Proudfoot, did you pass your polygraph?
I did.
Those questions out of the way. Was Faith in the home when Sebastian went missing?
No, ma'am.
Does anyone else have a key to your home beside your immediate family?
No.
No, ma'am.
That night, Miss Proudfoot, at midnight when you went to bed, what did you do until midnight?
I had been reading a chapter that I needed to, and I had been talking to my husband on the phone. I was falling asleep on him, so that's when he told me it was around midnight. He told me to go ahead and put the dogs up and go to bed, and that's what I did. I got up, put the dogs where they sleep, and then I myself went to bed.
Where do they sleep?
They have a big pen.
A pen, is it inside or outside?
Inside.
Inside. That reminds me of another question. Do you guys have a motion sensor light or lights on the outside of your house?
Yes, we do have lights on the outside of our house.
Did they activate that night?
They're not motion censored. We have lights.
Were they
but not
on that
motion
night?
censored.
No,
Okay.
ma'am.
Were they on that night? So the lights were out the whole night?
Yes, ma'am. We don't typically turn the floodlights on.
Were there any lights outside the house on at all?
Just my little solar lights that we have in the garden.
There's
Yep.
2 lights on the side of the house above the garage that are on at all times.
Oh, yeah, those are on.
Oh, there's a light above the garage. It's on at all times?
There's 2. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Lights on.
Were there any lights outside the house on at all?
Just my little solar lights that we have in the garden.
There's
Yep.
2 lights on the side of the house above the garage that are on at all times.
Oh, yeah, those are on.
Oh, there's a light above the garage. It's on at all times?
There's 2. Yes, ma'am.
So in comes the garage for the first time. Now CP has verified, even though KP, who is the one who was home, said only the solar lights in the garden were on, CP has corrected her. 2 lights are on at all times. Well, if they're on at all times above the garage, why were they not on when Sebastian took out the trash? Seth said those lights were not on, that it was dark. So dark, remember, according to KP, or he couldn't tell who it was, and according to KP, the FBI had to clean it up, clear it up to be able to tell that it was Sebastian, she said, and it was obvious that it was him. Interesting, right? The garage is now entered with 2 lights above it. Are those 2 lights another reason CP detracts from the garage man door being a possibility? I don't know. What do you all think?
Okay. So those lights were on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is because I heard you say earlier, Mr. Proudfoot, that your neighbors have been very, very forthcoming with their Ring camera info. And I was
Yes, ma'am.
trying to determine if any lights were on, what, if anything, they may have caught. But I understand from your previous interviews that nothing of any evidentiary value was caught. And also, in another statement you gave, I understand that the video of the 2 flashlights, and I'm saying that with air quotes, that's not exactly what that was at all. We now don't believe that 2 flashlights were observed around your home. Is that correct?
Yes.
You're very correct.
Okay. Question regarding your vehicles. Ms. Proudfoot, what make and model do you drive?
I drive a Infinity SUV.
Year?
2017.
And sir, what do you drive?
I drive a diesel truck, Chevrolet.
Year?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I think it's a 2021, I think.
So your Infinity SUV was parked in the garage or outside the garage that night, Ms. Proudfoot?
In the garage.
In the garage. And Mr. Proudfoot, your vehicle was on location in Memphis. Is that correct?
Correct.
Mentions the garage again. Your Infinity was parked in the garage. Notice how she says your, not the, your, and repeats the make of the car. Your Infinity. Makes me wonder, your infinity. Just leads me to think, is there someone else with an infinity? You know, that's where I go with that. I worked the screenshots of NG interview to find out who is in the RV. I'm releasing the video I done tomorrow. Fabulous. Can't wait to watch it. Please share it with me, Nicey Marie. And please also let me know. I did not know you have a channel. So please let me know what your channel is. And thank you. I can't wait to see it. Was I just muted or was I talking to you all? Did you all hear me saying thank you to Nicey Marie for her comment? Did you hear that or was I muted? Sorry, I'm trying to catch up to see if you all heard what I said. Oh, good, good. Okay, we're going to continue with this. She's brought up the garage, the lights on the garage, and you park in the garage. Yes, ma'am. In or out in the garage, your infinity.
Okay. So there's only one car at the home. Is that right?
There was actually a work vehicle in the driveway at the time as well, but it hasn't moved. We can't give out that information because we don't have permission from her work.
I don't understand that. What?
About the make and model of the vehicle.
I have a work van that was also parked in the driveway.
Why is that? If it's out in the driveway where people can see it, why is that privileged information?
We just don't have permission from her company to divulge that information.
Have you asked?
No, ma'am, we have not. Nobody's asked us
So
that
that
question.
was-
to be honest with you.
Okay. So you have a work van. Question to you, Miss Proudfoot, what do you do for a living?
I am an installation technician.
That night, was the work van blocking your driveway? Could someone go in and out of your driveway?
The van is parked at the back of my driveway, so someone can pull in, yes.
Got it. Do you park your Infiniti SUV in the garage or outside the garage?
In the garage.
In the garage. Do you have an automatic garage door?
With the clicker.
Right. Do you leave that up or down at night?
Down.
Could anybody lift it up? Like, is there an on and off button outside, or do you have to know a code or have the clicker to open it?
You'd have to know the code or have the clicker.
Does Sebastian know the code?
Not to the garage door, but to the man doors.
Not to the garage door, but to the house doors?
The regular door, yes.
So is there a code to get in your home, or do you use a regular key?
There's a code.
And he knows that code.
Yes, ma'am.
Question. I'm just trying to figure out how he would have gotten out, or if somebody came into the home. Could they have gotten through the garage door? No, unless they know the code or had the clicker, which they did not. Do you lock your doors at night?
Yes, ma'am.
Could he have left on his own through those doors?
He could, yes, ma'am.
But I heard in another interview where Mr. Proudfoot said he was not a, quote, wanderer. He didn't wander around. He had never left the home before on his own. Is that right?
Correct. We haven't had issues with him running or taking off in the past.
Okay, let me ask you a couple of questions regarding the doors. Do you have any home surveillance, anything at all that would have given us an idea or a clue if the door had been opened or not, or a window?
Not directly from our house.
Well, then from where?
That's what we were hoping, that neighborhood Ring cameras and may have picked something up.
Gotcha. I want to go back to that night. You said you were up till midnight. You were reading something. What were you reading?
A chapter for school.
A chapter for school. Are you in school?
I was, yes, ma'am. I've since dropped my classes for the time.
What are you studying?
Nicey Marie channel. Okay, good. Her questions are it's like they're taking a test, right? No plea for Sebastian. However, this is great line of questioning because, hi, Mama. Great line of questioning because she has a reason for her question. So I want to go over the questions from that chunk. Excuse me again. So she verifies in there, she asks them if they have motion or sensor lights around the house. And CP says yes, but they're not. And she says, well, did they activate? Well, he said they're not motion, but I do. I know they are. I have a picture. She asked if they were on that night. KP says no. So the lights were out that whole night. KP says yes. We don't typically turn on the floodlights. Were there any lights on outside the house? Just my solar lights. So now he said time, in my opinion, time to think. Oh, wait, there's 2 lights above the garage that are always on at all times. Now, the person who was there doesn't remember that. The one who's recited this for 30 days as of this point, 30 days, everything with their missing child, and it's not registered in her mind to remember some of this stuff. It doesn't make sense to me. Oh, yeah, those are on. Okay. So she repeats it again. So there's a light above the garage that's on at all times. There's 2. Yes, ma'am. That's CP. She gets that verification. She says it again. Okay. So those lights were on. CP says it again. Yes, ma'am. And she's wondering, she says, I'm asking, because she's talking about footage, right? Well, why are they hoping for footage is what she's getting at. If it's such a dark out there, why would you want footage when you know nothing can be picked up? Why are you hoping for footage if you know you can't see anything in that footage? I think that's kind of what I got from it. Okay. Let's see. That's where I ended. Okay, we are going to move on to the next section where she starts talking about, but her questions are very pointed. I mean, she asks her twice about the car being in the garage, the same spot, and I think it's coming up about Sebastian driving too. Let me find it. Okay, yeah, it's coming right up here in just a minute. Let me get to it.
Business administration.
When we talk about Sebastian's shoes, why are you trying to figure out how he would have gotten out, or if somebody came into the home? Could they have gotten through the garage door? No, unless they know the code or had the clicker, which they did not. Do you lock your doors at night?
Yes, ma'am.
Could he have left on his own through those doors?
He could. Yes, ma'am.
But I heard in another interview where Mr. Proudfoot said he was not a, quote, wanderer. He didn't wander around. He had never left the home before on his own. Is that right?
Correct. We haven't had issues with him running or.
So that night you go to bed at midnight after you've been talking to Mr. Proudfoot. A chapter for school. Are you in school?
I was, yes, ma'am. I've since dropped my classes for the time.
What are you studying?
Business administration.
Gotcha. Where do you go to school?
DeVry.
So that night you go to bed at midnight after you've been talking to Mr. Proudfoot on the phone. You put the dogs away in a cage, a crate inside the home, and you go to bed. Did you check on Sebastian at that time?
I did not.
Okay. Do you normally?
Not typically. Since he's gotten older, I've not been checking on him as frequently throughout the night because normally he's good to go in his room once he goes to bed.
Earlier you had stated you heard a.
We can't give out that information because we don't have permission from her work.
I don't understand that. What?
About the make and model of the vehicle.
I have a work van that was also parked in the driveway.
Why is that? If it's out in the driveway where people can see it, why is that privileged information?
We just don't have permission from her company to divulge that information.
Have you asked?
No, ma'am, we have not. Nobody's asked us
So
that
that
question.
was. So that night you go to bed at midnight after you've been talking to Mr. Proudfoot on the phone. You put the dogs away in a cage, a crate inside the home, and you go to bed. Did you check on Sebastian at that time?
I did not.
Okay. Do you normally?
Not typically. Since he's gotten older, I've not been checking on him as frequently throughout the night because normally he's good to go in his room once he goes to bed.
Earlier you had stated you heard a noise in his room before you went to bed. What time was that?
Around 10 o'clock.
10 p.m. What did it sound like?
Just a thud.
A thud. You stated that you said, look, I don't care what you're doing in there. Go to bed. Is that right?
I was on the couch, which is near his room, and I said, Bubba, did you fall out of the bed? And he said, no, ma'am. And I said, well, whatever you're doing in there, knock it off and go to sleep.
So you heard his voice at 10 p.m.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any idea what the sound actually was?
I do not know.
If he were to go out his window, what would he step on?
Mulch and bushes.
Did you say mulch or mush?
Mulch.
Mulch.
Mulch. Okay. Got it. Has he ever gone out the window before?
No, ma'am.
Is his room on the front of the house or the back of the house?
Front.
Front. Do any of your neighbors' ring cams point toward your house? Could they pick that up?
They do, but it's so dark that they can only see it after it gets so dark at night. They can only see certain things where there's light.
And that is knowledge, in my opinion. They know that it's so dark that the ring cameras wouldn't pick that up. Okay. Which is why I'm wondering if he's eliminating garage door as an exit by saying the lights are on. I'm wondering if there's something going on with the garage. Buzz, KK was reading when she answered the question about thud. Oh, hi, all I need is Jesus. Hi, the real me too. I also find it interesting that she said, sorry, my dogs are rolling around on the floor next to me. I just lost my train of thought. Let's keep going and I'll comment in a minute.
I thought there were the 2 lights on.
On the opposite side of the house.
Okay. Can we talk about Sebastian's shoes? Why are you convinced Sebastian left without shoes on? Or are you?
Well, the reason that came about is because all of his shoes are accounted for inside the house still.
Are you positive?
I'm positive.
How do you know what clothes he was wearing?
The clothes that we described are the ones I saw him in when he went to bed.
That morning, you woke up at 6 o'clock. Is that the normal time you wake up?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a heavy sleeper?
Off and on.
Do you take any medication at night that would make you sleep?
No, ma'am.
But you heard nothing.
I did not, no.
So we know he is alive and well at 10 p.m. At 6 a.m. He's gone. You say he's never left before. Is that right?
Correct. He's never run off before.
And could I confirm, where was his bio dad at the time he went missing?
I believe he was at work in Nashville.
Had there been any family argument or altercation prior to him going missing?
No, ma'am.
And you start searching early February till Feb 26. Is that right?
Correct, ma'am.
Where were you living in Memphis?
I have an RV trailer that I stay in at an RV park.
RV park. Okay. Following back up on that morning, you search the home, Ms. Proudfoot. Then you get in your vehicle and you start searching. Did Sebastian know how to drive?
No, ma'am.
Was your car in the same location when you woke up that morning as it was the night before?
Yes, ma'am.
Has your car been searched by police?
Multiple times. Yes, ma'am.
Have scent dogs looked at your car?
Yes, ma'am.
So your car's in the same place. You get in the car, you start looking in the neighborhood for him. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Then you call Mr. Proudfoot, right?
I believe I was already on the phone with him at that point.
And that's the questioning I wanted to go over. Okay. Let me put your question up, Scotty the Hottie. Oh, this one first. Okay, so we have established that KP keeps her car, her Infinity, in the garage that night. That's where she parks. Okay. She has also informed us twice that the car hasn't moved, was in the same spot. Now is being asked, does Sebastian know how to drive? No, ma'am. Now, in my opinion, did the car move and she knows something she's getting at? Or is she trying to get her to say, no, and I went to the car and looked? I don't know. Starts out by saying that morning you search the home and then you get in your vehicle and you start searching. Right? So where do we go again? From the home to the vehicle. So you search in the home, then you get in your car and you start searching. So no search of the garage, no mention, well, I searched in the garage, I looked under the car, I checked in the back of the car, and then I got in the car and went searching. Nada. None of it. She asked if the car had been searched multiple times. Scent dogs have been on the car. And she says again, so your car is in the same place. Repeats this again. Your car is in the same place and you start looking in the neighborhood. Is that right? Then you call Mr. Proudfoot. Is that right? she skips over the car being in the same place and says, I believe I was already on the phone with him at that point. But again, has the opportunity to say, my car was in the same place and I started looking in the neighborhood, but I did check my car. I mean, it's a prompting to see, to remind someone if they did something, right? Did you do that? Or is she avoiding it? Not bringing it up, never searching the garage. Well, I did search the garage now that we're talking about it. Now, giving that detail, or under the car or in the car. None of that happened. None of it happened. Why are we avoiding? Make sure you're seeing it. Why are we avoiding the garage? Jay, I know that it's off topic a little bit, but the last stream you wanted to know the funeral home name. Oaks in Nickel, Columbia, Tennessee. My uncle owns 3 homes in Tennessee, 2 crematoriums. Yes, and thank you so much for that, Genia Stevens. And cousin CB's cousin Brandon is the director and embalmer there. Thank you. That way I know who to go to for any questions, Genia. Thank you very much for that. Let me write that down. I know you've told me that before. So your family owns 3 funeral homes. Okay. Now for Nancy Grace, let me remove the banner. For Nancy Grace, she asks twice. She asks those questions that when you go back and isolate the questioning into a topic, they put together a puzzle. Oh, I know the work van was there. I'm not saying the work van was there. I'm just saying the way he says it didn't move makes me wonder if they moved the location of the van in the driveway or if it moved. So, right? But thank you for pointing that out, Angie. I appreciate you. Okay, so Nancy asked twice if KP parked her SUV in the garage that night. So she's gotten admittance that the car was in the garage. She asked twice if it was in the same spot as the night before. Why do you all think she's asking that? Right, Zuzu. I don't know. Because she does say your infinity. No one, they've pointed out, no one can get in or out of the garage without the code or clicker. And we hear only immediate family has that code. And Sebastian, obviously. Sebastian, not could lift it on his own. He could leave through the doors on his own. Yes. KP says her car was searched multiple times by law enforcement. One thing I find really interesting about the Brinks van is that CP says, and we're a month in for this interview, CP says no one's asked him the information about the Brinks van. That was kind of alarming to me. I hadn't really caught that before. Why has law enforcement not asked questions about the Brinks van at that point, 30 days in, a vehicle that was in the driveway? So I thought that's concerning that they did not ask any questions, because CP's saying this is the first, he says, to be honest with you, no one's even asked us that, information about the Brinks van. And I just thought that was shocking that was not asked in the early investigations, because it was in the driveway. And I'll fix that. Not Sebastian could lift it on his own. He could leave through the doors on his own. So your car's in the same place, she says it again, and you start looking in the neighborhood. Yes. That morning you search the house, you get in your vehicle and you start searching. Is that right? Yes. We're noticing something isn't mentioned here, searching the garage or under the vehicle or in the vehicle. Does Sebastian drive? No. In my opinion, she's trying to get her to say she searched the car or checked the car or something. I don't know. Or the car moved, in my opinion. Doubling down because CP says it didn't move. It just makes me wonder, did it move? Did they move where they park it? Did it move some point during that day? So those were the red flags I picked, but the questioning is very pointed for Nancy, and I think the garage is important and the car. I don't know which, because I don't know if it's because the car's in the garage, it's important. I don't know if it's the car that's important and it just happens to be in the garage, but the location of the car, the movement of the car. Oops, sorry. The location of the car, the movement of the car was mentioned, and going from the house to the vehicle and searching. That was mentioned twice. So when you put that together and start thinking about it, where does that take you? Because it doesn't sound like they asked about the work vehicle, so I wonder what else wasn't asked about, in my alleged opinion. Right? Okay, we are going to go on to our next one, which is going to be pointing out, WebSleuths, but I don't have the timestamp for WebSleuths, so I'm going to have to just kind of get in there and watch it with you all. In the WebSleuths interview, let me go in here and show you. In the WebSleuths interview, particularly, CP eliminates the man door garage as an exit, and he also eliminates the man door garage as having a code. It says one door has the code. So another thing, why are we taking attention off that man door? And remember, he wouldn't go out it because everybody would hear it. Does anyone know which interview that was in, that everybody would hear it? Okay, without further ado, this will be full credit to WebSleuths. Let me just put the banner up and say some thank yous before we move on. Oops, I just misspelled WebSleuths. Okay. I have to pull it up because I if you recall, I closed it. 1 second. Sorry. Get it. I have it right here though. Interviews. There it is. Okay. Okay, let's come back to you real quick. Jen and Georgia, thank you so much. Again, love, love, love all. Love you back. You're all such a great community. We're a good family here. Stop showing out, Jen. LOL. Thank you, Gypsy. Thank you, Jen. Jen says, ha, 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 ha. Jen wants to be that nightly superhero. Gypsy and Shining Star are neck and neck. Woman. Cute. Thank you for the donations during this. This is cute, actually. We're going to get there. Yes, we are, Shining Star. We've gotten there, I believe. Oh, and growing the family too. Thank you, Sassy T. 5 Crime Time Buzz memberships. If you received them, thank her. And I thank you for your generosity. And join us at our family reunions, which are Saturdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, but we're going to have one tomorrow. I just have to figure out the timing. Thank you, Sassy. And welcome in, everyone. Verna, Ingemi, am I saying that right? Ingemi? Thank you so much. That's very generous. Love your channel and all you do. So pleasant to listen to. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. And I truly appreciate the support of everyone being in here. Hit the thumbs up if you will. Those of you in the bushes, hello. thank you for being here. Those on replay, we appreciate you. Takes a village, right? Thank you, everyone. Mods, thank you. We're going to continue now with WebSleuths, particularly about the doors. And so I'm going to have to let it run a little bit. Let me look at the notes real quick. I'll be right. We'll get started. Sorry about that. Credit to WebSleuths. And I'm going to start, I'm going to flip, I'm going to have to test it a little bit as to where we are, okay? Specifically about the garage doors.
There, and you can see there's the tip line. Okay, public. There.
Wow.
Okay.
Chloe, you're the PI.
Yeah, but Chris, I understand your anger, but I'm telling you, please let us help you. Okay, we're not here to point fingers at you or whatever. But the problem is, and this is what we were talking about earlier, Chris, when the public is asked to help, and then no information is provided, then people, because of social media, and social media is here to stay, unfortunately, this never used to be a problem, never, until social media, and it's terrible.
I know who Heather is.
Okay, Heather, would you like to say Seth said at his house, he didn't need
Yes, you are correct. No, you are correct. You just hit the nail on the head.
Mm-hmm.
You just hit the nail on the head. Seth has opened his mouth. He has said a lot of things he probably shouldn't. And he needs to learn how to close it because, quite honestly, none of that has anything to do with finding Sebastian.
Thing.
No, he was told he could say something. They told him.
Saying it's wrong. But again, when you ask the public for help, people.
Years of experience that they don't know anything.
So just no
I'm
thought
gonna hear you out.
in your gut, spit it out. Doesn't matter if it sounds completely off the wall. What is your knee-jerk reaction to what happened?
Sebastian walked out of the house, stepped off the porch, and has vanished into thin air. That is what I think, because that is what I know.
That is what he knows. That Sebastian walked out the front door and stepped on the porch. Now, later on, he determines that that couldn't have occurred because the code pad would illuminate, because remember, the door is locked and it would be caught on the neighbor's ring cam. But at this point, crystal clear, walked through that front door and stood on the porch, because that's what I know. Very directive of the narrative. Let's keep going. This is the stepfather, CP, if you are unfamiliar with his voice.
But what do you mean, you know?
I've been part of the investigation since day one.
Okay.
And if anybody else out there that's got some information in regards to where Sebastian has went, because last time I
Right,
checked,
but
there's
are
not
you
one shred of
confirming that
evidence.
You know he walked off the porch is what I'm asking.
I'm telling you, unless this kid is just in the thin air on my front porch, he sure had to go somewhere, so he had to walk off the front porch. Now, if you're trying to insinuate somebody was in my house or
No,
somebody's
I'm not
taking that
insinuating
child outside of
anything.
my house,
No,
say
I'm not
that.
insinuating.
The one door. There's another door that has a code. He's eliminating it here, omitting it, avoiding it. I'm telling you, I think the garage has something to do with this. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Maduke. Scotty the Hottie. Hello. Hi, Joanne McNeil.
Anything. I'm saying, I'm asking, do you know that he walked out your front door? Do you know?
That he went out the front door?
Or any door?
Is that what you're asking?
Do you know?
Yeah, that's what we're asking.
Okay, thank you. I just need a confirmation. I don't play games here. So just to make this real crystal clear, there's a back door. Every door in the house when Katie got up that morning was locked.
Okay.
Since it's already out there, there's a keypad on the front door. You don't need a key to unlock and lock my front door.
Mm-hmm.
But you need a key to lock every other door. And every other door was locked, folks.
So it had
Again, he says one door has the code. All doors were locked. He's being very rude, by the way, in my opinion. All doors were locked. And he knows he went through that front door because it's the only one with a code. All the rest use keys. That is inaccurate information, as we just heard on the Nancy Grace show. KP explained the man door next to the big electric garage door has a code, and Sebastian knows it. Why is he eliminating that garage door? Why can't that be an option? It makes me think something was going on in the garage. Something happened in the garage. I worry allegedly was Sebastian sleeping in the garage that night. I don't know. Speculation. But listen to his tone.
Katie do that?
Do
And he
what?
walked out. Did Katie make sure all the other doors were locked? And could have Sebastian just walked out? Could he have walked out the front door?
Every door was locked.
So what you're saying is that the only possibility is the front door. Is that what you're saying?
I am saying the most conceivable way possible that this makes sense is that he walked out the front door.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Did he walk out without his shoes on? Is that what you believe?
My statement earlier is real simple. Sebastian walked out of the house not wearing any shoes.
Could he have been running and scared of something?
Don't know. He could. It's a young boy. It's dark outside. God only knows.
Okay. Now, there is somebody that has been asking to.
That statement right there makes me wonder. Could he have been scared and running from something? She means from the house outdoors. He says, who knows? It's dark outside. Who knows what could happen? He's answering, in my opinion, to Sebastian's already outside. Did something scare him? I'm worried he was locked out. I don't know. Makes me think. But what time and all that. But those are weird answers. I don't know how he knows. Yeah, there's no scent from the porch leading to anywhere. Right. I'm looking at your comments real quick. KP said the garage code in the beginning, I believe, said Sebastian didn't know that code that well. Okay. But he could open the door, exit, and close it and leave it unlocked. Right? If he's in the garage, he could open that man door and leave. And just, if you're not sure of the code, just not relock it maybe. I don't know. There's something I just can't get my finger on it. Thank you, Jay, for your time and effort for Sebastian. He was lost before he even went missing. Yes, he was. It's such a heartbreak, and he was crying for help. By the way, CP and KP been talking about Sebastian and how he knows he walked out the front door. Red flag, in my opinion. Yes. Also, like an April interview about where CP's saying they were told not to, they've been asked not to search so they can be available for phone calls. And I'm thinking, why would you, after 2 months, you're saying they're still telling you not to search for your own child for 2 months now because they want you to be available for phone calls? Well, you have a cell. It doesn't make sense. But the garage is never mentioned, which I think means it's something about the garage. Thank you, Nicey Marie.
To come on, and Gray Hughes, he would like to talk to you. Would you like
You can
him?
bring that man on board because I've talked to him. I respect him and I will talk to him.
Gray, I just sent you the Facebook link, so jump on up. Okay, Gray? I just sent it to your Facebook. So he'll be jumping on here shortly. Stacy, can you keep an eye out because I can't see because of my stupid computer.
Hey,
Okay.
in the meantime, I would like to, since Chris is here and this has become very public, I would like to mention something that we spoke about earlier. Chris and Katie did actually confirm that the clothes that he was wearing at Texas Roadhouse that night were accounted for. And I believe they were the articles of clothing that were used for the scent dog. Am I correct when I say that, Chris?
Yes, those clothes are in the possession of law enforcement.
Great. And so do we know what Sebastian was wearing when he left?
From the house that night?
Yes.
The description is still the same. It hasn't changed from 60 days ago. However, I will say this much. Some of the information that's out on some of these posters and flyers, we have actually requested to have some of that changed, but it hasn't happened. So I'll walk you through what the description actually should be.
So for that interview, he's very, very aggressive, in my opinion. And it's that front door. Stay out of the garage. Hosier Mama, according to Seth, he saw that all shoes were there And he pointed that out when he arrived. Yes, the flashlight video is and the 3 a.m. sedan. And the 3 a.m. sedan is real. They talked about it in the command center. People over, it's a lot of people were around. Some sedan pulling up. It's fishy. The flashlights, it's fishy. Not seen anywhere by anyone. Fishy. But it does concern me when CP says, here, let me stop it and go to it does concern me when CP says that anything could be possible. He could have been running, was he running scared? And she meant out of the house into the outdoors, which Seth says wouldn't be the case because he would have ran straight out to the street and been caught somewhat on camera then at that point. But CP answers it like he was already outside. Who knows? It was dark outside and anything could have happened. That he puts him outside. He puts him outside. And at what time, right? At what time's he outside? Was someone there to take him? Planned, not planned, but I lean toward planned because if this was spontaneous, something that happened spontaneous, I believe there would be some sort of clue left behind. And that's just my opinion. That is just my opinion. I guess I closed out our slideshow. Hold on one second. Let me get back to our slideshow. 1 second. There. Okay. Okay, got it up. So we're going to look at WebSleuths. Just the slide for WebSleuths now. That's the wrong one. There we go. Oh, okay. Chris says he doesn't know if he was running and was scared of something. That's something I put in red because that's concerning to me. Then when asked, instead of it being running out of the home into the outdoors, which would be unusual with bare feet, no coat, no cell phone, because you're scared, he says, well, he was outside and it was dark. Anything could have happened. He puts him outside where something scary would have happened. So was he outside or everything's so confusing. So in WebSleuths, CP says there's 2 doors out. He's not mentioning that man door. He's totally eliminating it from the narrative, the garage door. See, Sebastian walked out of the house. He walked out the house, out the front door, off onto the porch, and vanished into thin air because he doesn't know what happened. Why not the garage man door? He vanished into thin air, but he doesn't know what happened. Why not? Why isn't that man door an option? They also said it was so dark that you couldn't see anything on the cameras. Sebastian would have went by, possibly, CP says. Knowledge, thought. So dark. If it's so dark out, wouldn't you turn your porch light on? And I will tell you, my local sources tell me that and have shown me that porch light is on since the disappearance at night when they're home. Chris says every door in the house was locked, keypad on the front door, key to unlock every other door. He knows, he lives there. CP knows that there is when he says keypad on the front door and says in a key for others, he knows there's a keypad or a code pad, on the man door. He lives there. there's a back door. The only realistic possibility in his mind is he walked out the front door because you need a key to the back door. He's leaving out the garage again. They have avoided the garage for 14, almost 15 months. Why? It's very telling, in my opinion, and the silence speaks volumes. CP says that Sebastian has sleeping issues, and that's been his whole life. Okay, so we also learned from law enforcement he's up a lot at night. So if your child's up a lot at night, would you really be sleeping that soundly on the regular? I know I always slept with one ear open when mine were up. Even if just sitting watching TV, I subconsciously in my sleep, I remember knowing that, they're up. You don't fully relax till they're down too, safe and in bed. Another one, Chris said he's never seen Sebastian hide under a neighbor's car. And that was corrected. The neighbor said that he had the wrong person. But I still find it interesting that even with this dialogue of saying Sebastian never hides under a car and the neighbor saying he thought he was possibly under his car, never did it enter the narrative that KP searched under her car before moving those wheels. That's terrifying to me. I find that very terrifying. Because if your child's missing, regardless if they would hide under a car, it's not normal for them to be missing, and you're looking everywhere before you put that key in the ignition and move those wheels. Wouldn't you look under the car? Let's think about that. Put yourself in the position where you're looking for your child, and bless you if you've been in this position. I'll put that right up there. Thank you, the real me. You're looking. You can't find your child in the house. You go out to the garage. Do you jump in the vehicle and move those wheels without thinking to look under the car? Or as a mom, would it be your net? And neither is a right or a wrong answer. I'm just asking. So we can kind of gauge here. Because I put myself not moving that car till I've made sure nothing's under it. No one's under it. But so put look in the chat if you would look under the car first. And put go if you would just, you just run in and jump in that car and go searching, driving and searching. Yeah, I thought it was a different child. But I don't know. I'll have to ask the real me in just a second. So look if you'd look under the car, and go if you would just jump in and go. Sassy would look. Nicey Marie would look. Debbie says, depending on how low to the ground it is. I have an older SUV, so I'd look. Okay. I would even get on the ground and peek under. I used to have a low Camaro, and thinking that way, I'd still look under because you just, I don't know. I don't know. I never even thought of the garage window. Yes, Operation, I agree with you. So Sassy would look, Debbie would look. Town Chat would jump in that car and go. Okay. Jen and Georgia would be looking everywhere after calling 911. Caitlin would look. Nice Marie would look under her car before leaving for her cats even. Mama would look. Sassy's looking a lot. I'm going to stop there for a second. Was the garage window said to be unlocked or open allegedly? That's interesting because I've never thought of the garage window. Does anyone have any information about the garage window? Very interesting. Garage window. I'm writing that down too. Does anyone have about the garage window? I'm writing it down so I can find out. Just can't find the right. Okay. And then Teresa says, in my opinion, maybe Ellie is making a case. Dog said, don't be surprised if someone wasn't arrested soon. We all know it's time consuming for prosecutors to put a case together. Correct. Hey, Teresa, I've been off for about a week. Can you tell me where Dog said that? Don't be surprised if someone wasn't arrested soon. I would love to have that. Excites me. YouTuber would look. You have, oops, you barking. Caitlin says her mom drives an Audi SUV and as skinny as Sebastian was could fit under that. Good point. He is thin. Yeah, I agree, Gypsy. Maybe calling for support after you made the call to the father. Shining Star would look. Debbie says what would look everywhere. I agree, Caroline. I agree. We went over that too. Just kind of the whole program, like Big D and CB show up to move them to Tennessee or show up to visit. Neighbors say that's when they made a plan with CP allegedly to take the baby. Be careful. 2 weeks later, CB arrives, takes the baby, and then later on, they take the baby and don't return the baby. And they take the baby and don't return it, and there's baseball bats involved, and all police and chasing down the highway and roll over them and all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And CB wanted that granddaughter. What would, what would they do with someone they didn't want? Remember when she wouldn't watch the other children, but would watch not the step grandchildren, but the baby. The step grandchildren went to like Melissa or Mike, the CP's dad, not the step. Very telling, right? Just like Sebastian, all the grandchildren got to go to Disneyland with the Bauer Sox, but they didn't take Sebastian, the step. But it does definitely show. It definitely shows, in my opinion, capability to make a plan, show up, make a plan, think about the poker party, final planning. CB, who CB in Nina's story, CB flew out and took Faith back with them. So because they didn't want, CP said it would be easier so she wouldn't travel so well. Who took Sebastian in this plan? Was it family? Was it someone else? Was it someone he knew, didn't know? Who took him? But where I'd love to know where Dog said that, because I would be thrilled. Town Chat, a lot of people feel he was taken out that back door. Yes, and I feel that's where that video images come from. I believe that footage, and I believe that's what they were looking at the command center. And that's how they knew it was not a stranger. That's why they did not put out a description for the suspect, because that video, they cleaned it up and they could see who it was. That's just my opinion. Yes, there was something about a dent in the garage door, which allegedly is fixed now. People said it was from the inside out, but I don't know. He has a way to access to get out of that garage through that man door. Right? Yeah, the kitchen, going through the kitchen, when you go through the you go right through there, past there to get to from your room to Sebastian's. Now adding the bathroom after that was mentioned in Nancy Grace interview. So let's go over the Dateline interview real quick. And then by the way, before we do, let me say something here. Made our goal. Yay. We are going to be moving on to, after we do Dateline, we're going to be moving on to the Marshals. You know, that's another great point. Great point. And we've discussed that. Whoops. Remember, oh my goodness, sorry, y'all. Why am I missing it? Remember, Sebastian came home from school with nobody home. So he very well knew how to go in and out of that home. If he ran away, he had 3 hours before KP came home to do so. Bingo. And also, he's a thinker. He's a planner, right? He plays chess. He strategizes. That's what I've always said is if he was going to leave, in my opinion, he had that time after school to gather his things and get out and put shoes on and a jacket and take a cell, some snacks, his medicine, whatever, a backpack, the things he needs, his switch. He had that time. So either he left, in my opinion, upset and was locked out, and someone was arranged to pick him up, or opportunity, which is less likely, of course. Or in my opinion, he didn't have it. He had no idea he was leaving. It was involuntary kidnapping, like the Amber Alert says. And we have to remember, the Amber Alert says, as much as we want to weigh on other things, the Amber Alert in Tennessee has to be confirmed that he was unlawfully kidnapped by local law enforcement to TBI. It's not about disability. Okay? Unlawfully kidnapped. That confirmation to me, in my opinion, was the footage. They were watching it right away at that command center. Okay? Early on, let me say, rather than right away. And so unlawfully taken, and then they have to write it up, send it to TBI, who evaluates it, decides if they're going to approve it, and then activates it. Unlawfully kidnapped. So he didn't run out that door. As much as we want to say it, they saw and know something, and they didn't give a description from that footage. Why? Because I believe that footage is what they used. because they didn't have to search for the person, and the vehicle wasn't included in the Amber Alert. Why? Because they know who it belongs to, and they know who it was, in my opinion. I'm so excited we reached our goal. Let's just go over Dateline real quick. Thank you for wanting to spend more time together. There we go. Okay. So in the Dateline article, which by the way is very interesting, hit that notification bell, because coming up, I've been doing some looking into that too. It's odd that it was in print. But Dateline, in the Dateline article, there's a lot of information in there, a lot of new information that we didn't have before. Timeline adjusts to bedtime at 11 p.m. You know, we're talking over a year and we're changing things. Okay. So Dateline, we have here, again, KP's rendition never mentions the garage, never mentions searching the garage for him, seeing if he was out in the garage for some reason, looking in the garage. Dateline interview went from the house to jumping in the car. And as most of us, many of us, not all of us, and we're human. We shouldn't all be the same. Not all of us would have searched under. Some of us, rightfully so, jump in your car and go because you're afraid how far they'll get, right? You're not thinking they might be under that car. Zuzu, I'll answer your question in a second. They said upgraded security system, wouldn't that mean codes would change? You can change your codes daily if you want. Like I had rental properties and we'd change them every time someone moved out and in. So you can change those codes repeatedly. What I want to know is, did that code pad have timestamps on it? Depending on what kind they had, did it have timestamps? Right? Of when that door was last locked. Things like that. Jay, do you know if the Friday night poker game even happened? According to TL, it did. And allegedly, it happened at, I don't know if it was Big D's or DG's home. Sebastian allegedly got on a laptop and got in big trouble. Now, I don't know if he got in trouble. This is all alleged. I don't know if he got in trouble for what he saw on the laptop or just simply for being on it or for something he did on it. No clue. But allegedly, law enforcement picked up that laptop as well. I have not verified any of that. I've just heard that. But think about just, if you think about the workings of Faith's story, it fits, in my opinion. So let's see if you have any. Bye, Operation Merlin Falcon channel. I hope he gets home soon too. Good night, Shelley. Okay, we're going to wrap this up and then we're going to move on to the bonus. I just want to hide this comment. Okay. So she looked everywhere. She looked in and around the house. She looked in the bathroom, which is new, by the way. She looked in the kitchen. She went through the house everywhere. Jumped in her car. Never mentions if she checked under, if he was under or in it. And remember, Melissa P-Foot, by the way, do any of you know what time Melissa posted that about he could have gotten in a car and fallen asleep? Never mentioned searching the garage. And CP mentioning he's never seen Sebastian hide under a neighbor's car. But even that dialogue would have you go, oh, yeah, and I did look under the car, by the way. He went, I don't know. It's very strange. No mention of the garage in all the narrative, except there's 2 lights on above it, and now that there's a man door with a code. But nothing else. No searching in there. No searching in that car. Nancy Grace is questioning. She really goes at that garage, the car in the garage, the door, ability to go in and out of the garage. She points out no one else could. She said, which they could not, get in and out because they don't have a clicker and a code. She points that out. So very interesting. The garage. I think when it comes down to it, something. Okay. Hold on one second. Let me get a drink of water. The first question that I asked, wanted to find out, was how to get U.S. Marshals involved in a missing child case. And this is what I found out. Please give a thumbs up if you have not, if you'd be so kind. Okay. To get the U.S. Marshals Service involved in a missing child case, law enforcement agencies must initiate a request for assistance. However, there's another way too. The U.S. Marshals will typically assist in critically missing children cases where there is an elevated risk to the child, or if a suspected crime of violence is involved. Now, critically missing is like under 13 or under 18 and not where they're supposed to be in danger of, where they, what's in danger of the circumstances that they went disappeared. I said that terribly. Sorry. Take another drink of water. Sorry, y'all. My throat's starting to. Okay. If a suspected crime of violence is involved. Well, with an Amber Alert, I'm sure they're expecting a crime of violence. Usually with most kidnappings, there are. The Justice for Victims of Trafficking Act of 2015 enhanced the United States Marshal Service authority to assist state, local, and other federal law enforcement agencies in recovering missing children. So for 10 years, this has been something they do, is look for missing children. It's an expertise of theirs. Okay. Law enforcement agencies can then, after they've been reported to law enforcement and put in the NCIC system, then law enforcement agencies can request assistance from the U.S. Marshals Service. And they use the USM 641 form, the Missing Child Case Request for Assistance form. Well, I find it baffling that Sumner County has not done this. Unless they are indeed about to make a request. But for 14 months, they could have been getting this expertise in helping. Whatever little piece they were still looking for, they could have, obviously it's Sebastian. They could have been searching for Sebastian. The U.S. Marshals will then assess the situation and determine if they can provide assistance based on the criteria above. Why haven't they asked them? And I want to see if she answered that question where Dog said there would be an arrest soon, because I agree, Teresa Williams. he was going, let me clear that up. KP didn't want Sebastian to go live with Seth. Remember, he was going the next week. He was going end of the school year. So end of May, beginning of June, whenever their school year ended, is when he was going to move over to Sebastian's. They wanted him to go to a residential school for behavior, and that was in November, December. They started asking about that, November-ish. So even that 6 months of waiting, they just didn't want to do it. Apparently it wasn't working out. Apparently, I don't want to put words in their mouth about that, but right. Okay. So they haven't been asked the right questions, right? I wonder, real quick, have you ever thought about Lori sleeping in the garage? Why would you have a guest sleeping in the garage, though? Michelle, I'm not sure. Well, why would we have a guest? I don't know. I hadn't, because I've never really thought of a guest, if that's what you mean. I might be totally getting that wrong. So I wonder why Sumner County hasn't solicited the help from the Marshals, because they're not obviously ready. If they haven't gone to the grand jury, Whitley, why haven't they gone to the Marshals service if they don't have enough? It's a child's life and a child's justice. Well, Michelle says Caroline is a nurse. They are deep bite marks as well as severe large bruising to the right arm. Left hand knuckles are bruised. Sebastian has specific teeth shape. CP proudly displayed those defense wounds. Ooh. Thank you for that information. Large bruising to the right arm. Left hand knuckles are bruised. You all have such great information. Yes. Absolutely. He could have taken off if there was an argument. Autistic kids are alarmed by their senses, smells, sounds, visions, tastes. So if an argument, be it in person or on phone, could have triggered a terrible reaction of fear in him. In my opinion, just a thought. Very true. Very possible. Very possible. Caroline, was it a female child that was a silhouette? I want to know who the female child at COP neighbor's house silhouette in the window was. Can you explain that? And I had just heard a dark silhouette. I had not heard female child. But if you'll explain that, we can. Great comments and questions. I know there was a silhouette in the window, a dark silhouette in the dark, and then a light went out in the way back behind it, and that was caught on footage. And KP mentioned to Lori, according to a source, that there was a silhouette in the window on the footage. I find that shocking that that's never entered the narrative. Wouldn't you be screaming from the rooftop someone was in your home if it was just you and your child and there's a silhouette in the window if it wasn't you after you said you went to bed, or Sebastian possibly? Why would you never say it could? Sebastian might have been that silhouette in the window. Maybe he was looking for someone waiting. Why wouldn't you say Sebastian and I were in bed or in our rooms and there was a silhouette in the window? Someone was in our home. Never mentioned? It's very odd. But I didn't know it was a female child, so I'd love to know that. Caroline says the spaces between Sebastian's teeth, in my opinion, showed on CP's arm. It's another one we're going to talk about. Not tonight, but Lori was in town that weekend. She was there when Seth arrived, but it's never mentioned in the dialogue. And the fact that her son and Sebastian play together. Oh, he had a buddy there that weekend. He was so happy. None of it. Very weird, in my opinion. Okay, let's keep going. So I wonder why law enforcement never asked them to come in. I worry, and I'll be honest, that it's because the early investigation in the home and interviewing, not the search. The search was great, stellar. Fabulous job. Oh, 6:30-ish? Okay, so now let me ask you a question. Because according to Dateline, that's about when she got in her car and was looking, when I go back to the timeline. But if your sister-in-law had posted, which I'm sure she already spoke to her and said, have you checked the cars around? He could have gotten in a car and fallen asleep. And then you're leaving the house to go search. Would you have looked under your car or in it and around it? I would have. That post would have triggered her thought, right? Just my opinion. Okay, so a parent of a missing child can request the assistance of the U.S. Marshals Service. The Marshals have a significant role in locating recovering missing children, especially those considered critically missing. Now, so a parent can request the Marshals to come in. We do not have to wait for law enforcement. But the parent, we can't all go taking the form and filling it out. It has to be law enforcement or the parent. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children also leads the fight to protect children and provide resources for families. So you have to report the child missing to law enforcement, make sure that your missing child's recorded into NCIC. Then you can contact directly. Parents can directly contact the U.S. Marshals Service to request assistance in critically missing child cases. They can find the contact information on the U.S. Marshals Service's website. And let me do one thing real quick. So a parent can call directly. If law enforcement doesn't call, you don't have to wait for them. You can call. I'm trying to look for there it is. Okay, I'm going to see one thing. Critically missing, I want to give that definition. It's a situation where a missing individual is considered to be at high risk of danger or harm due to their age, medical condition, mental state, or circumstances surrounding the disappearance. So Sebastian would fall under that critically missing requirement. The U.S. Marshals Service has a dedicated mission to find and recover missing children, and they often work in coordination. So they work with local law enforcement agencies. So why would be a reason for law enforcement not to bring them in? They're stellar at finding children. There's that piece we know is missing. Sebastian's not found. Why not for 15 months have asked the U.S. Marshals to come in? It makes no sense. It's a child's life. If I'm sheriff, I want anyone who will help me save one of my own. I mean, that's serve and protect. That's being part of your community. So I don't know why they didn't, but they would have worked together. I have concerns as to why, maybe not, but nothing, my feelings as to how the early days of the investigation, not the search, the home, the forensics, the interviews. all of that. The documentation, gathering footage. Maybe there's, maybe someone wasn't a good bookkeeper. My goodness, that's not a far stretch. I'm not being rude. When the flyer for 13 months, a year, sat there with the wrong date and the lead detective knew it and said, well, it wasn't my job to change it. Well, your lead detective, if you care about Sebastian, doesn't matter if it's your job, in my opinion, you change it. It's repulsive. So why not call the marshals? Those kind of little things marshals wouldn't do. And those are the kind of things that worry me. That's why they aren't being called. How embarrassing to have to look a marshal, U.S. Marshal, in the face and say, well, I knew it was wrong. Remember, he admitted, Brandon Carter admitted he knew it was wrong from right in the beginning. Pointed it out, but no, the person at TBI just never changed it. Your lead detective, well, he wasn't then. Craddock was. But still, they knew. They didn't change it. So are those kind of paperwork errors, faux pas, mistakes, oversights, lazy, sloppy errors the reason the U.S. Marshal Service has not been called in? Well, hallelujah. Because guess what? Sumner County is not the only option for that. If Seth Rogers or Katie Proudfoot want to call, parents can directly contact the U.S. Marshal Service to request assistance in critical missing child cases. And Katie and Seth, you can find the information on the U.S. Marshal Service website. I know Seth will do, he's looking, he's searching. So, KP, make the call. I dare you. Make it. They'll find him. They're experts. I challenge you is what I meant to say. Make the call, please. Now, why would we want the U.S. Marshals? What do they bring to the table, my friends? Oh, sorry, I thought I had the right screen on there for you. There we go. Okay, the U.S. Marshal Service, let me make sure you have it. You do. Okay. Why are they experts? Why would they be valuable to locating Sebastian? Remember, their goal would be to come in and locate Sebastian. And we know that component is missing. And we know local law enforcement has had for almost 15 months the ability to make that call. But now we've learned Seth can make that call. Yes, Michelle, Seth Rogers could get doctor files for Sebastian's condition to take U.S. Marshals for critical condition victim help since he's the bio dad. Yes, thank you for that information. And it's not an insult to call. If you're a child of a missing person, you call. If you're not insulting the local law enforcement. They've had 15 months to call. And if your child's just new missing, call. Based on some of the cases we've seen in law enforcement and how complicated things get, call right away. And they can go, yes, thank you, Judy. I was just going to say, they can go everywhere. They can go in and out of different jurisdictions. And they do. We've seen their operations, right? Operation We Will Find You and all the others. Crochet, I don't believe Seth has called. Not that I've heard of. I just found this out. That a parent can in my research while I was sick. So let's keep reading what they bring to the table. All of which everyone's searching, all law enforcement, all people should want this stuff brought to the table. Because Sebastian hasn't been found. We need to bring him home. Excuse me, y'all. Yes, after the motorcycle shop, CP and KP met Lori to come get Lori's son. So explain that, Michelle. When was the motorcycle shop? If you don't mind, after the motorcycle shop. When was the motorcycle shop? CP and KP met Lori to come get Lori's son. Are you saying CP and KP went and picked up the boy, or they met at the motorcycle shop so Lori could get her son back? Yeah, that's the thing. No small town BS can hamper the U.S. Marshals and would bring full on investigation and resources. And that's what we're about to get to, the extensive resources and the dedicated focus they put into a missing child. I'm worried that that may be because of the lack of follow through. I have not heard from Seth. Honestly, when I was sick, I was not even calling anyone, talking to anyone. So no, I have not. You haven't seen him in chat since America's Most Wanted. Well, good. Maybe he's taking a mental break and they're doing searching and talking to law enforcement and all that good stuff. Well, KP and CP can refuse the marshal. CP has nothing to do with it. He's not even a parent to Sebastian. He is a step parent. It's the biological. He seems to think he's got a lot of power, but he doesn't. It is the biological parents. KP can refuse the marshals, but Seth can request the marshals as the parent. Absolutely. That's right. I did hear that. Yeah. So let's see what they bring in and analyze. Why wouldn't someone want this in there? What would be the reasoning? He's not found. We need to bring him home. Okay, here is a breakdown detailed of why they excel in the area of locating missing children as being one of their most sacred missions. Oh, their operation, We Will Find You, has successfully located hundreds of critically missing children. This is further supported by the organization's dedication to the task, as highlighted by the director of the Marshals, Ronald L. Davis, who stated that locating missing children is one of their most sacred missions. And here is the breakdown of why they excel in this area. Well, they have nationwide reach. The U.S. Marshals Service operates across the country, so they can deploy resources to any location where a missing child arises. So as our dear friend in the chat just said, yes, they can cross through jurisdictions. They can go anywhere. Okay. They operate across the country quickly. They have extensive resources. So I ask, why wouldn't we want that expeditious ability, that ability to expeditiously deploy anywhere in the United States? When Sumner County is tied to Sumner County, it takes them a while to be able to go somewhere and search warrants and travel. Why not? What would be negative? I see nothing. It's positive. Why weren't they called? Why would KP not want this? She turned it down. Why? Why would you not want the Marshals with that amazing track record of finding hundreds of children at a time looking for your own? That, in my opinion, is suspicious. Extensive resources. They have access to a wide array of resources, including trained deputies, specialized equipment, and collaboration with other law enforcement agencies. Why would Sumner County for 15 months not have called upon the U.S. Marshals Services? They have an Amber Alert. It was approved. So they've confirmed unlawful kidnapping. In danger. Why wouldn't they want additional trained deputies who can, and marshals deploying all over the United States instantly, specialized equipment, and the collaboration between other agencies. I see no con and only pros. So again, I ask, why have they not been called for 15 months? Dedicated focus. The U.S. Marshals Service has a strong commitment to locating missing children, dedicating resources and efforts specifically to this mission. They keep the focus. When they accept a request to assist, they have dedicated focus. They're going to dive deep into searching for that child. They are going to dedicate resources to that search and put efforts into the mission. How could that be a con? Why would KP not want that? Why has Sumner County not asked for that? Dedicated focus. Well, Sumner County has one detective on the case. One. For a critically missing Amber Alert child. One. Why wouldn't you want that focus, that commitment, those dedicated resources? The U.S. Marshals Service has a close collaboration with agencies like FBI, police departments, and the State Department. They coordinate efforts and share information. Why would KP not want that? That ties another avenue, the FBI in another strand, brings in other police departments with other resources, expertise, information, technology, and brings in the State Department. They coordinate efforts and share info. Why would KP not want that allegedly? And why has Sumner County not asked for that help? They have one detective working. Operation We Will Find You. This ongoing operation demonstrates the U.S. Marshals' commitment to recovering missing children and includes a nationwide search for critically missing children. Success rate. The U.S. Marshals Service has a proven track record of locating and recovering missing children, as seen in the numerous cases they've resolved over the years. 10 years since the Justice for Victims of Trafficking Act, and they have a proven track record of locating and recovering missing children, rescuing and recovering. Why, allegedly, if KP turned them down, wouldn't she want that success rate? I mean, if I had a missing child and the president said, I'll go look, I'd say, thank you. I wouldn't say, no, you're the president. Anyone, get out there, please help. But when you're 2 months down the road and the stepfather is saying in an interview, we've been asked not to search so we can be available for phone calls. Well, you have cell phones. You've been other places. You could use that time to search, in my opinion. But then he added, but we've put up flyers and signs. You can search. That's malarkey. Malarkey. Why has Sumner County not called a team with such a track record? But now we know it doesn't have to be them. It doesn't have to be them. Yes, the red flags are flying. We've all thought that it had to be them, but it doesn't have to be. Oh, thank you, Teresa. Was this recently? Thank you. I think I watched one, but I'll watch again. I love Vinny. He's amazing. Okay. I'm going to go to questions. So even if KP doesn't want the Marshals, and even if obviously after 15 months of not finding the child, Sumner County's never called them, do you think their expertise intimidates them? Do you think things like a flyer with the wrong dates might be a pattern and they don't want it revealed? I don't know. I can't think of a reason not to call them because this is such a benefit. Right? But now we know. Even if KP doesn't want to call them, and even if Sumner County has chosen not to. Seth can. CP's got nothing to do with it, except a lot of wind blowing all the time, in my opinion, when that mouth opens, in my opinion. Is it time to get the U.S. Marshals in? Of course it is. Absolutely. Without a doubt. I'd say that for any child who had a chance of getting them in. Any child. Just like I'd say to any family, yes, if you can get Dog the Bounty Hunter, do it. Absolutely. Anyone. It's time to bring in the Marshals. And now we know, and Seth, if you're listening, you are able to directly request assistance from the U.S. Marshal Service. You do not have to go through law enforcement. You do not have to ask permission. It doesn't mean you're not working with them in a friendly manner. It just means you're bringing in more manpower. That's all that means, and you contact them directly. So that's good news. I hope KP or Seth, I don't think KP, in my opinion, would ever do it. She didn't even do an actual interview with Dateline. She did a print article. Boy, is that rare. Hit the notification bell on that. Got some good ones coming up. And it is so good to see you. Tomorrow, we are definitely going to have a members live. And we are going to have, and I'm going to put up some thank yous on the slide screen right now, a members live and another live. Mods, you've done such a fabulous job. Thank you so much. And to those of you, I just want to say again, thank you. We reached our goal. Sound chat, I'm not sure yet. It depends on when I get home, my friend. And I'll let you all know probably around noon. And I want to thank the gifters and the superheroes and everyone for being here. There is no need for any of that. It's just some fun interactions that we do. Your presence here, your thumbs up, watching from beginning to end, your support of being here is absolutely so appreciated. And I want you all to know that. You and the Bushes. Oh, I should have taken Jen's name down, but we're going to go for it. I'll have different names up there for tomorrow. Thank you to all the superheroes who got us to our bonus time. I think we learned something very valuable. And I want to thank my gifters too. Let's thank the gifters. Did you all see that one? Hi, Diamonds for DC. Hold on one second. Did you all see the superhero one, or did I not share the screen? And then my gifters. Where's my gifters? There we go. Thank you so much for the gifts and for the new members, those of you who joined, those of you who gifted. Thank you. Want to thank all of you for being here. Please hit the, oh, thank you. Mods, fabulous job. Everyone, I will let you know around 3 Eastern time, which is noon my time, what time I'm going to be making it home tomorrow for our members live, and then we'll have a live to follow. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you. Prayers up for Seth, for Sebastian, for everyone looking, for everyone who loves him, that he will be located. We will have justice, and that the investigators will contact the U.S. Marshals, or Seth or Katie will. Thank you so, so much, everyone. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. I appreciate you. And remember, we don't have to rely on law enforcement to bring in those marshals. It's all positives. There can't be a negative to bringing them in. Sebastian needs to be located. Parents can call directly to the United States Marshals to request service for their missing child. They do not need permission. They can do it directly. It is not going to affect their relationship with law enforcement, because quite frankly, I would expect law enforcement would think you would reach out to any resource you can. Prayers up. Thank you all for being there. We are Sebastian's Army, and you all are amazing. Talk soon.